Hello and welcome to AJM in the AM. I'm Anthony Mero, and this is episode 14. On Thursday afternoon, Kevin Durant broke the internet and NBA Twitter by requesting a trade directly from Nets owner Joe Tsai. The drama in Brooklyn is finally coming to a head. We had Kyrie watch for about a week before he opted into the final year of his contract. Then the next day, KD broke the internet just a few hours before free agency even began. It was reported that his preferred destinations are the Miami Heat and the Phoenix Suns. Now, Kevin Durant is one of the top 5 players in the NBA, but he's requesting a trade to go to the number 1 seeds of both conferences, with the rumored specific demands that if he goes to the Heat, he only wants to be there if Butler, Lowry, and Bam are all active on the roster after acquiring him. Now, trade demands are nothing new, but many felt it was getting out of hand last year. Between James Harden playing his way out of 2 straight teams, one by playing horribly and being incredibly out of shape in Houston, forcing their hand, then doing the same thing to make his way out of Brooklyn to Philly just last year. Or what Kyrie Irving is doing now, having the chance to leave, he signs up for his 1-year player option of $37 million and now wants to be traded when he already could have just walked. And Ben Simmons literally refusing to play for the Sixers until they traded him, while being locked in for multiple years. Now, I'm all for player empowerment, and I hold out hope that if the Nets don't fold to Durant's demands, that he will continue to ball at a high level despite his wishes being ignored. Similar to the time Kobe Bryant demanded a trade in like 2007 that the Lakers ignored, and he continued to play his Hall of Fame level style basketball, and they became finalists and champions in 2008 and 2009 respectively. I think Durant can continue to ball out this season if they decide not to, but this opens up the question, what does this mean for the future of the league? Durant just inked a 4-year max extension worth $194 million with the Nets in August of 2021. The first year kicks in this season. What's the point of signing a contract if players can just weasel their way out by demanding a trade, then potentially hold a franchise hostage like what Ben Simmons did, or when Kyrie Irving threatened season-ending injury to get out of Cleveland, or when Irving reportedly threatened to retire if he was traded from Brooklyn? We are very far away from the days where players had to fight for an even share of the revenue split or fight for just basic free agency. Players are able to choose their location 100%. Free agency is wonderful, and we have to hope that they maintain competitive balance when choosing these destinations, but it's their right to sign wherever they want. But when a player signs somewhere, that contract should have some weight. It's currently treated as if it's meaningless, with demands becoming more and more frequent. Which brings me to what this may mean for the upcoming CBA, which can either be mutually opted out of at the end of the upcoming season, or truly ends at the end of the 2023-2024 season. We've seen players fight for things like fair market value, things like the Derrick Rose rule, which maximizes the value a player can make for their rookie extensions. But ownership may fight back against days off, trade demands minimizing leverage by listing 2 or 3 destinations. The power of players may need to be reeled in a bit in the upcoming CBA, since some have been running rampant with the current rules. Before I continue, if you like the content, please hit that subscribe button and like the video. It really helps the channel a lot. So I have a few concepts for the NBA. They probably will never use it, but let's go over it. Something like pay for games. If you're a player, let's say Kawhi Leonard, who plays a very limited amount of games every season, because long gone are the days that players lace him up for 82 games a year, let's say the max will be an earned concept. If you're a player that plays over 75% of games, you'll be eligible for the max, but that max diminishes based on the percentage of games that you played. Punishments for purposefully sitting out games need to also be more severe to stop a Ben Simmons situation. It wasn't enough to not pay him. These guys that will sit out are not bottom tier players. They are the upper echelon. They have a nice little nest egg, so sitting out games, practices, media, team, and charity events, they should be a fined offense. If money is not just being stalled from your account, but actively being removed, it may incentivize players to not sit out and pout. Lastly, the trade demands. It should be in a contract that trades can't be asked for unless you're in the final 2 years of a deal. Demanding a trade at the beginning of a big contract is unfair for the team that just signed you, or that you just signed with. Now, there is a flip side to this. Blake Griffin comes to mind when he signed a massive 5-year supermax to stay in LA on the Clippers, but then ownership decided to trade him to Detroit months later, locking him in purgatory for the next 5 seasons. I have no answer for situations like this outside of the no trade clause. To protect teams from demands, though, there should be an optional penalty. The team can choose to impose the penalty. Some financial compensation from the contract can be taken off, so a $35 million contract becomes $28 with the trade demand fee, but the cap hit would remain $35 million. Oftentimes, trade requests come with a list of destinations. For 1-year contracts, though, that hamstrings the return a team can get when a player lists 2 or 3 places. Potentially, if there's only 1 year left on a deal and you make a list of teams in the demand, any teams that you're traded to are given a 1-year team option for your max amount. That would incentivize teams to want to pursue the gamble. I don't know. These are just some radical ideas that could help curb with these trade demands and players forcing teams' hands to leave town. That's it for this episode of AJM in the AM. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on Friday.